Last week, I learned how to use an HVLP gun when we primed the underside of the 280Z. So this week, we need to seam seal it and we need to undercoat it. So let's jump right in. What's going on, everybody? I'm Brian, back with Block Garage, and we got the 280Z ready to get some work done on it again, just like usual. If you watched the last video, that was my first time ever using an HVLP gun. I've only ever used a rattle can before that. Went very well, I think. We got the whole underside primed. It is ready to go, so we need to get some seam sealer on before we get the undercoating on, and then we'll be ready to take this thing and put it on the floor. Not have to mess around with this rotisserie anymore, so that is a huge step in the progress of the 280Z build. As nice as this rotisserie is, just the symbolism of having it finally off the rotisserie is something I've been looking forward to for quite a while. All right, let's put some seam sealer on it. If you guys have never used seam sealer, we use it at all of the joints where the panels meet because it's not a 100% seal. You don't want moisture and everything to get in between those two panels, causes rust faster. So we seam seal everything that we can just to hopefully save this thing as long as possible. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's just like caulking that you would use like around your bathtub or something like that, only this is made for automotive purposes. I am using more Eastwood products. They're high solid seam sealer in black. Because it's black, you guys probably won't be able to see a whole lot about what I'm doing, the specifics. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna throw this on here, and we gotta do basically everything under here that needs seam sealer, you know, almost every joint really, because we do not want moisture getting in between the panels. Hopefully I have enough to get it done today. But anyways, yeah, I'll throw a couple beads on there so you guys can see it, and then I'll probably just go finish it myself. And you do not have to, but I like to smooth it out by hand. That's all there is to it. There we go, got all the seam sealer on. Check it out. I mean, it's not perfect, but we got everything all sealed up that needs to be sealed up. It could be smoother. You know, this looks decent through here. But the big thing is that all of the seams are fully sealed, as long as I didn't miss anything, that is, of course. So I'm happy with it. Don't forget, this is getting undercoated, so any of this parts that aren't very smooth really aren't gonna matter because that undercoating is rough. Plus, it's the bottom of the car, so who really cares, right? I am gonna have to seam seal the interior of the car also. I'll probably try to find a little better way to make it a little smoother. But again, it really doesn't matter. But the interior, there's a potential for people to see it, at least before the interior gets fully redone. Anyways, moving on. It's now time to get some paint on this. So the plan is, I'm not putting undercoating on some areas of the car. Maybe from like here up, I don't need undercoating because we got the cross member that bolts on here, sway bar bolts here, suspension arm goes in here. So it doesn't really need undercoating right there. And then various areas back here, like around the e-brake brackets here, we don't want to undercoat, so we can get that together. Around where the subframe mounts down here and up here, we don't want that undercoated, so that this will sit nice and smooth right on there. In various other areas around here, don't need to get undercoated, you know, because there's going to be stuff mounted there. So we need to do that, but before we do that, because this stuff has been sitting for a little less than a week, but it's long enough that Eastwood says you need to rough it up some because whatever you put on might not adhere to it fully. So we're going to take a red Scotch-Brite pad You know, just this again. And we're gonna rough all of the surfaces up here, everywhere that's gonna get paint and or undercoating. So let me go do that. Oh, by the way, if you're curious, I went through 3 cans, or canisters, whatever you want to call these things, of the high solid seam sealer. Now that does include some of where I did underneath the roof before we put the roof skin on. But if you're wondering how much you need to use, I mean, if you get 3 of those, you should have enough to do everything underneath here. At least, you know, at least I did. So that's just a little tip for you guys in case you are wondering, and if you have to do it yourself. Anyways, let me go rough this surface up and then we'll get prepped to put some paint on. And what we're going to be using is this Eastwood Extreme Chassis Black. This is specifically made for painting underneath the car, usually when you do your frame or whatever, if you're not doing undercoating. So we're going to use this, and then we'll put our undercoating on everywhere else where the undercoating should be. And this stuff here does not require a catalyst or activator or anything. It's ready to go. It's thinned. You don't need to do anything. So I just picked up a quart of this for the little areas that we got to do. So let's get spraying. I just filled this up about halfway, just because I don't know exactly how much I'm going to use. I can always pour more in. So now this is actual paint. Let's see if it sprays any different than primer. If you guys didn't see the last video, that last weekend was the first time I'd ever used an HVLP gun. So, you know, this is all new to me. Yeah, I can already tell the spray is different than primer. All right, second coat, that one's all tacked up. With this little bit of painting we're doing, I'm not going to bother putting the suit back on. There wasn't really much overspray in the air at all. Now, one of the important areas to get is up at the top of the shock tower here, where our coilovers are going to sit, because obviously we do not want undercoating right there where the coilover mounts. We've also got this bracket right here that bolts on here. I don't want to get any in between. And same thing back here, upper part of the shock tower and maybe this bracket and stuff. All right, we got all that chassis paint on. It's looking nice, nice and smooth. I think it went on pretty well. I'd probably thinking now maybe I should have gone with satin instead of gloss, just because it's underneath the car would make more sense for it to be satin because the undercoating isn't going to be gloss. But it is what it is. So we got it on there. Now you can see I got tape everywhere. Everywhere, I believe I've got everywhere that I don't want undercoating, you know, the places where the subframe mounts, and I got tape up there where the shocks mount. So I think we're good. We're not undercoating from here up, like I said. I'm not sure how much overspray I'm going to get with this undercoating, but we'll figure that out. If I need to put some more tape or, you know, some plastic up, I will. But I want to see how it sprays if there's a ton of overspray. You know, don't forget that everything in the bay has to be stripped still. Everything on the outside of the car has to be stripped still. So if we get a little bit of overspray on stuff, it really doesn't matter because it's all going to be stripped down to bare metal anyway. However, if there's a ton and it's going to increase my work in the future, I probably will tape it off now. But anyways, so this is what we're going to be spraying for undercoating. It is technically bed liner, but I've seen that people use this a lot. I have seen a bunch of recommendations for it, so I figured I'd try it out. And it's all its own kit. You can get this right on Amazon. And it's basically ready to spray. You don't have to do really much of anything. It comes with its own gun, I believe. So let's pop that open and see what it looks like. So we got 4 bottles of black undercoating. We have the hardener, little measuring cup. And then, yep, it comes with its own gun. So, according to the instructions, it's pretty simple. All you do, you take your bottle, you take 8 ounces of this hardener, pour it in there, shake it up a bunch, stick your gun on, and it's ready to go. You don't get much simpler than that. It also says you do want to set your air pressure somewhere between 40 and 60 psi, so make sure you got a regulator. I got one right off the compressor that I'll use, so we'll probably set that to 50-ish. We should be good there. I could also steal the one from my gun here. Actually, I might do that. Yeah, I'll probably steal the one from the gun here. That way we know that the air pressure is accurate at the gun, not back at the end of the hose. But, all right, let's get this ready and hooked up, and we'll go outside and try spraying it real quick and just see what it does. By the way, you can pick this stuff right up on Amazon. I think the kit was like $125, something around there, and it should do way more than we need to. But yeah, I'll throw a link down in the description if you want it. Just go click that link, and it'll take you right to it. And the measuring cup has an 8-ounce line right on it. You can't really mess this part up. Now it says to shake for 2 minutes. All right, let's hook it up to our spray gun and go try it outside and just see how good it sprays. This should be pretty easy. All right, I'm not bothering putting the full suit on. I just got my welding sleeves on to protect my arms. I don't think we're gonna get a ton of spray like when you're HVLP spraying, just because this doesn't really atomize. So I think this will be good, but I do want to wear my respirator just in case. We're gonna do the same technique we did before with the primer. We're gonna do a coat like this, flip it over, do a coat. I don't know if we'll do a full 2 coats. We'll have to see on that. I'm not sure. And then we'll flip it back down and do the arches. So let's get to it. All right, that's how far I got with one bottle. Probably 75% under the car. Let's mix up another one. All right, we got a coat on everything. We need to wait 1 hour, and then we'll do our second coat. All right, it's been an hour. Let's check out the undercoating and see what it looks like. That looks nice. That does look nice. Hides all the little imperfections too. I mean, really. It looks really good. I am a bit concerned about taking my tape off in some spots now that it's hardened, because it's completely hardened now. Maybe not fully cured, but it's not rubbery at all right now. It's not liquid, it's not wet, nothing. So, do we do another coat? I think we do another coat, just because there's bound to be some places that I missed. And we might as well get the extra protection. So, let's go ahead and just redo basically what we just did. We'll do another coat. I'm gonna go over it really good right now to make sure there's not any spots that I completely missed and need to make sure I hit heavy when we do the second coat. But I'm happy with how it looks right now. Let's just get to it. And don't forget, this second coat, once it's done, we have nothing left to do underneath the car before we get to take it off the rotisserie. I cannot wait. Oh, by the way, you definitely want to use a respirator with this. I took my mask off when I was leaving and it smelled terrible out here. It was really bad. Probably worse than spraying the primer. I'm assuming that just the activator, I don't know. Anyways, definitely wear your respirator with this. But by now, after the hour, it doesn't really smell out here at all. Just a little bit. But yeah, wear your respirator. Alright, got it all done. 2 coats. Everything looks great. I don't see any issues, to be honest. I've checked this thing over a bunch of times. I did go and take all of the tape off of everything. You can see right there. Took it off the shock towers. You know, all those spots. Because I was a little worried that once it got fully cured, that it might not want to basically release. And I'd have a tough time getting the tape to break the undercoating apart, I guess. So we got it apart now. One issue that I ran into, they did not provide enough hardener for all 4 cans or bottles, whatever. I put exactly 8 ounces, according to this, in each bottle. I definitely didn't overfill. I definitely put exactly 8 ounces in, and I had this maybe
maybe 2/3 full on the last bottle. Hopefully it's going to be enough. I didn't have to do much with that bottle. I really have quite a bit left. It's probably 3/4 full over there. So I'm not real happy about that. If you have to use this kit, maybe just go a little bit under the 8 ounces, maybe go 7. That might save you enough, or if you have some of your own hardener. I wasn't sure if I should use that Eastwood activator that I have for my primer. I wasn't sure if it was the same stuff. You know, this is my inexperience. So I just went with it. Hopefully it's fine. I was going to completely finish that bottle up and just coat anything underneath there I could with a 2.5 to 3rd coat. But where I didn't have a full 8 ounces of hardener in there, I didn't want to risk it just in case. So we'll see what happens. Let's let this cure. We'll come back tomorrow and check on this thing and see how we did. But it's looking really good, guys.
Well, it's the next day. Let's flip the car up on its side and see how it looks. Phew, would you look at that? That looks incredible compared to where we started when we got this car. Just think about how bad this thing used to look when we first rolled the car in here. Holes in the floor, rust everywhere, all that stuff. It's been primered and everything, gray, you know, just rattle can primer for a long time. And now seeing it in one uniform color, it looks like we've actually made progress on the car. This is amazing. This stuff's all cured. It's nice and hard. You know, it's not like the rubber coating where it stays soft. This is a bed liner, so it should be plenty protective. Just taking a peek around, I don't see any major errors or any major places that we missed. You can see around here I got it on quite a bit heavier because I was kind of spraying up in behind the lip and just wanted to make sure I got coverage. So there's a difference in how it looks. It kind of smoothed itself out there as opposed to the rest of it. You know, the rest of it's kind of more textured. There's definitely a difference where I put the gloss on. So like I mentioned before, I probably should have gone with satin black instead of gloss black. Just have to remember that for the future. I think my thought process was I can use that gloss black chassis paint in the engine bay because that's going to be black no matter what color I paint the car, and that stuff's harder than regular paint, taking in and out the engine, all that stuff. I think that's where I was going with that. You know, use that 1 quart for both, which should be plenty. So we'll probably end up using that for the engine bay. But I mean, got a nice line around here where I wanted it, because up here is going to be painted the color of the engine bay, the regular black. I don't want undercoating up there on the firewall and everything. Yeah, very, very happy with how this has turned out and our progress on the car. So this means we get to put it back on the floor, on the suspension, on the wheels. We can roll the car around. We can roll out of the garage, which is very important for something I have to do, not to the Datsun. I need to bring something else in the garage. And that was why I wanted to rush and get this thing off the rotisserie as soon as I can, because I've only got this one small bay. I need room to work on the other car. I don't want to do it outside. So anyways, it's all irrelevant to this thing. Just some final thoughts on this whole process. That HVLP gun is not hard to use, although I'm sure there's a lot I still have to learn as far as technique and everything. You know, just doing just the underside of the car, I learned a lot in how it sprays and everything. But I definitely didn't get things perfect. I'm sure if this was sprayed on the exterior of the car, there would definitely be some imperfections that you could see. I did notice, I mean, it's hard to see here because I got overspray from the undercoating, which I don't care about, a little bit of overspray here. But like this area right here, it's not as shiny as the rest of it. It's not as smooth. I don't know why it happened like that. But that's something I'm gonna have to keep in mind when I actually get to spraying the interior and the exterior, is what the final product is gonna look like, because I will care about how, especially the exterior, looks when I'm done. Not that I don't care about this, but it's a lot lower consequences than the exterior of the car. But we're all protected under here. All rust is gotten rid of, except for the little bits we had to spray with the rust converter, which I'm fairly certain are not going to cause any sort of issue. You know, just those little bits where you can't get to. Remember back there, this little corner back here. The only thing we'll have to do is, I didn't put any undercoating on the back here because the back is going to need work, like I've mentioned a few times. Get rid of these shock mounts, gonna have to do spraying in here of the primer and undercoating. So I'll have to buy some more undercoating, but you can get just a singular bottle. You don't have to buy that whole 4-pack there. And you can get it in a rattle can too. So it's really not a big deal. I wish I had one bottle left, but I needed just a little bit more. And if you remember right, I didn't quite have enough of the hardener on the last bottle. You know, it was down here-ish, somewhere between half and 2/3. It seems to be fine. I checked out the undercoating. That would have mostly been used in this wheel well. It's all perfectly hardened. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I did check this because I was wondering if maybe capping this would allow it to be reused. I didn't think it would because you're mixing with hardener, but I wanted to see, and it's not. It's completely hardened. So we know that little bit missing hardener won't be an issue. Kind of sucks that I wasted almost a full bottle because it's maybe like down to here, but it is what it is. So yeah. Very happy with how this has turned out. I'd like to know anybody's thoughts on this. I'm sure you guys have opinions on things I could have done a little bit different. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this stuff. We get to move on to something else besides working on the bottom side of the car. Like I mentioned, next video of the Datsun, you'll see it's going to be back on the wheels. I'm going to put the stock suspension back in so I can roll it around. At least that's the plan right now. But yeah, I'm incredibly happy with how this has turned out. If you guys are needing to do anything like this, don't be scared of it. Grab an HVLP gun, grab some of this undercoating, and just get to it. Even if you make a mistake, especially on the bottom, it can all be refixed. That's a big thing about doing this kind of work. Even the sheet metal and stuff. I mean, the worst thing that you can have happen really is you need to redo the work again. If you mess up on welding or something like that, you know, replacing some of the rust, just cut it out and do it again. You would really have to mess up to cause permanent damage. You know, the only thing I could think of, the big thing of doing all this rust is if you didn't properly support the car, and as you're cutting like the floor pans out or the frame rails or something like that in the car, warped, and then you welded it back in place with everything out of alignment, that would be the biggest issue and that you would need to avoid. So yeah, definitely want to brace it and everything. But anyways, that has nothing to do with this video. So we're gonna end this one out here, but let me know what you guys think. Like I said, hopefully I see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.